Has the Octopus Agile tariff formula really changed? The official word is no. The formula hasn't changed. But since the 1st of April 2026, the pricing has changed. Pricing has changed on all tariffs because of a UK government decision to remove costs around renewable obligations and energy company obligations. Personally, I don't know what all those are about. But it's a good thing that things are dropping. So back to the Agile formula. Since the start of Agile back in 2018, the formula has been the same. The process takes the day ahead auction price for each 30-minute slot, adds some retail elements to it, adds a little bit of VAT, and out pops the Agile price at the other end. And for the nerds, the calculation is D times W plus P. And I'll show you that in a little bit. Around the time of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Octopus added a cap of around £1 per unit, because there were some really bad days when it occasionally started to get close to that. But apart from that, the formula has been the same all the way through. But from the 1st of April, Octopus started applying this 3.5 pence per unit reduction on each 30-minute slot, hence the pricing has changed. So whilst they're correct in that the original formula hasn't changed, by whipping 3.5p off the bottom line, it sort of has. So you can see why people have been a bit confused by that. So to explain the Agile formula and its interaction with wholesale pricing a little bit more, it's probably best that I share my screen. We can go through some graphs and we'll have a little deep dive. And I can also show you a flaw with the final 3.5p reduction that's come to light in the last couple of weeks. Before we do, if you're enjoying this sort of thing, if you want to like and subscribe, that would really help the channel. So with that, let me share my screen and we can get into some stuff. So here we go. First off, this is the Octopus Energy page, their blog article, Agile Pricing Explained. And you can see that they've added this little disclaimer here. August 2026 update. Agile half hour unit rates will be automatically 3.5 pence per kilowatt hour lower after the 1st of April 2026, reflecting the government's decision to remove some levies and obligations from energy suppliers. Now that wasn't there exactly on the 1st of April, that came a few days later, hence lots of confusion. This page is really useful though. It does give you the whole formula here, as I said earlier, D times W plus P and a max 95 after VAT. It tells you, it gives you a breakdown here. And one thing to bear in mind is that the pricing calculation for each of the 14 UK regions, electricity regions, is slightly different because the number associated with D in the calculation and P are different in different regions. So the wholesale price is always the same. It's a single wholesale price that comes out of the auction, but then different multipliers are added to the price. So that's just something to bear in mind depending on what region you're in. So that's a useful page. And also Guy Littman. This page has been around for a long time, and basically is a quicker summary of what the Octopus page does. I used this in the past, and it's been really helpful for just a concise sort of summary of the formula. So the Agile pricing formula has come to the fore over the last couple of weeks, especially on the last 2 weekends where we've had these long stretches of negative pricing. And if you think about it, the 3.5p reduction has in essence exacerbated these negative times. So what here the max was 11.5p. Normally that would have been in the 8p region, and similarly for all this whole negative period here would have shifted up. So the small issue I mentioned earlier about there's a problem with the 3.5p reduction is let's look at this slot here. So this is around 2.5p. This is 7:30 in the morning on Sunday the 5th. So if we come over to the Energy Stats dashboard, and this shows Wholesale and Agile. So if we look for 7:30 in the morning on the 5th, we will see that the Agile price here is showing at minus 2.5p as per the graph that went out and the pricing that was given to customers. But you can see that the underlying wholesale price was actually a positive price of 0.5 pence. So whilst it's not a massive amount, whipping 3.5p off, it does turn some positive priced energy into negative priced energy, which doesn't seem quite right. You can see here with some of these overnight ones as well, where they were 0 and then they turn into 3.5p. So yeah, that's definitely a something strange with the new Agile 3.5p. Whether it's right or wrong, don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think, but it doesn't seem quite right to me that positively priced energy all of a sudden becomes negatively priced energy. If you're interested more in the relationship between wholesale and Agile, I have a page on the website called Wholesale Energy Pricing that tells you all about the relationship. We've got long-term graphs here of wholesale, and you might ask, where did all this wholesale data come from? Well, it's really expensive to buy the data from the day ahead auction. Really expensive, hundreds of pounds expensive, like subscriptions. But a number of years ago I thought, well, I've got the Agile pricing, I know the formula, so why don't I reverse engineer that? And that is what I've done, and this is a result of this graph here is a result of that process that I run every day. So if we go back to the dashboard, you can see every 30-minute slot I've got the Agile price and the indicative wholesale price. I call it indicative because it's calculated, it's reverse engineered. I'm not guaranteeing that this is the actual wholesale price, but it's near as damn it. So on the wholesale energy pricing page, we've got this 2-year daily average, which gives you, it's good for looking at trends, and there are some other graphs, last 7 days, and sort of grouped by 30-minute slot. So lots of stuff to go and explore on there. I'll put all these links in the show notes. If you're interested, you can download those indicative wholesale numbers, 30-minute slots going right back to May 2019, so you can have a play and do whatever you want. Just download that CSV. Again, download historical pricing data. I'll put that link in the show notes. So for years, when I've been calculating and messing about with wholesale pricing to Agile and Agile back to wholesale, I've done it on calculator, I've done it in Excel, I've created a spreadsheet, but over the weekend I just thought I've had enough of this, so I created a page on the Energy Stats website with a calculator. So very simple, choose your region, Yorkshire. Is it is the time between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. That's one thing I've not mentioned. Agile adds a peak adder, so it artificially makes energy more expensive between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. as a bit of a incentive not to use energy, which is why you always see that spike. Which, if you compare that spike to, say, the spike on the EDF free tariff, free phase tariff, then you don't see quite that spike because they don't add that the peak adder on. So let's just have a look at the this calculator. So if the underlying wholesale price is £50 per megawatt hour, so wholesale pricing is always shown in megawatt hours, and if you were to go to grid.imk, and you would see, like right now as I record this, it's £186 per megawatt hour. It's an expensive day today. So yeah, it's always in megawatt hours. So let's say it's, for our example here, it's 50 megawatt hours. So we hit calculate. We're going to say it's not between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. So we hit calculate, and then it tells us that the estimated agile input price will be 7 pence per kilowatt hour. So it gives you the formula there. 50 divided by 10 to get down to kilowatt hours. So the times 2 is the region multiplier that we spoke about. Is there any uplift between 4 and 7? Not on this occasion. We add VAT on, and then we apply the 3.5p deduction that gets you to 7p. If this 50 megawatt hours was in 4 p.m. to 7 p.m, we'd say yes. We'd hit calculate, and you can see that would go up to 20 pence per kilowatt hour, because Octopus add a big uplift to the 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Quite a stark uplift when you think about it. You put that back and it drops back down to 7p. So 7p to 20p. So there you go. I'll put a link to all this in the show notes so you can have a play. But let me stop sharing my screen. So there you go. Has Agile formula changed? No. Has Agile formula changed? Yes. So, but can both things be true? So there you go. Just a quick one. Agile pricing, wholesale pricing. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.